My name's Teresa Beckmeyer, and I'm from Colorado City. I would like to thank Winston for having me here today. This is an informational video and educational so that you can become more involved in your state government process. I want to let you know a little bit of how I got involved in this. I am the county chair of Mitchell County. So, as a lot of you in here, I'm also involved in Republican politics. I'm a business owner, I'm a wife, and I'm a mother. And as Mr. Pickens said a while ago, the reason I'm doing this is for my children. That's how I got involved in this. Last session, I had never been down to Austin when it was in session, and I'd heard all this stuff about what's going on down there, so I told my husband one day at work, I said, you know what, I want to go down there for a day or two, and I want to see for myself what's going on. Well, I went down there, and I ended up staying down there for 9 weeks. I would come back on the weekends because there was so much that needed to be done and so many things that I saw ways in which you could be productive and actually have an influence on your government. So that's how this all came about. And that's sort of what I'm going to show y'all today, what goes on down there, how it's organized, and how you can get involved. I hope everybody can see this over here. Okay. Okay, an overview. Why do we need this information? We need this information because as citizens of our state, we have the ability to influence our government. And if we do not understand how our government works, then we're not going to be very good at influencing it. So that's why we need this. We're going to go over the organization of our state government and parties in Austin that influence legislation. Each elected office, we'll talk about that, the legislative session, how a bill becomes law in Texas legislature online, which is a website, and what can I do to help things. Okay, the organization. We have the governor, the lieutenant governor, speaker of the House, attorney general, comptroller, ag commissioner, land commissioner. All these right here are your statewide elected officials, and as you all know, this year was a historic election. Every single one of those is going to be new. They're all brand new in that. Under them, you would have Supreme Court, Senate, House, the Railroad Commission, Secretary of State. Now, what's interesting about our government as compared to the federal government, all of these parts are independent of each other. Our founding fathers of Texas did not set up our state to have the governor and his cabinet. It doesn't work that way. Each one of these acts on its own. They're independent. The governor is not over these different offices. There's not a central head. And that's very fortunate for us. Okay, ancillary groups and individuals. These are all different parts, different people, different groups that are in Austin during the session that are having an influence on our elected officials. Okay, you have the staff that's in the offices of all the legislators, the staff that's in the offices of all the elected state leaders. This staff, I would say the staff out of all of these groups probably has the most influence on our elected officials. So because of that, it is very important who is in these offices. Okay, they pass the information to their bosses. There's so much information coming into those offices, there is no way that an elected official there could be reading every single bit of that. So they rely very heavily on their staff to be reading through legislation, to be talking to constituents, to be talking to special interest groups, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, lobbyists. Everybody knows what a lobbyist is, and there are many, many, many of them down there in Austin. Activist. Okay, that's what I did last time. That's people just like us. They're not really part of a group. They're just people that go to Austin and they talk to their elected officials. Up until before last session, there weren't a whole lot of just normal people down there. But after last session, I think that's starting to change. A lot of people, last session, which was the 83rd session, a lot of people like me that just started coming down there. We didn't know each other, but we met each other. And we've been networking for the last couple of years. And now, this next session, I'm really excited to see what it's going to be like because we've sort of got organized. We all know each other, so we can do a lot more. Special interest groups. These are groups like Texas Right to Life, National Federation of Independent Business, the Tea Party groups, Empower Texans. That's all special interest. And while it's good to be part of these groups, sometimes you may not always agree with everything that these groups does. So even though you can be parts of these groups and and read their information. You always need to keep an open mind about what they're saying, because some of the times they may be trying to serve their own special interest. That's why they're called that. They will have certain things that they push. Like, let's take NFIB, for example. I own a business. We've been in NFIB for years. The other day, the guy came in our office, and he's from around here. I don't know if any of y'all know him, but I can't remember his name, but he's from around the Abilene area, and we're talking. Well, I get to looking over the people that they had endorsed in the election. It was right before the election. Well, some of those guys on there, I was like, But see, they're only endorsing people that are going to push their special legislation. So while they may be good on the NFIB legislation, they may not be that great on other legislation. So you really have to, you need to listen to these, but you always have to pay attention to what they're trying to push. Okay, you have boards and commissions. Some boards are appointed by the governor. Some boards are appointed by the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the Lieutenant Governor. Some boards are elected and commissions. One that is elected is the State Board of Education. Now, I don't know if any of y'all know who our State Board of Education member is or who y'all's is. I know Kat does. But it's very, very important. You think about that State Board of Education, they control billions of dollars in our state. And if we don't know who these people are on this board or what their fiscal philosophy is, we need to know this stuff so that we are going to make sure that they're good stewards of this money. Okay, business will be down there. That's just business, any of the business. AT&T's down there, little business like mine's down there, different businesses. State political parties like the Republican Party, Democrat Party, Green Party, Independent, Libertarians, they all have people down there. And then you have the associate groups of state political parties like the Pachyderm, Republican Women, or any other kind of group. They'll come down there also. And all these people are trying to get at our elected officials. Okay, the governor has a 4-year term. Right now our governor is Greg Abbott. There's 2 things that the governor has the power to do, and these are mainly the only 2 things he has the power to do. Veto legislation, and he has the power to call a special session. He will do this when legislation did not make it out of committee or make it to the floor that he believes is important for the state of Texas. Y'all remember last session, Governor Perry called a special session 3 times. And that was because he had told them before session that he wanted transportation, water, and the abortion issue taken care of. Well, they did not do that during the regular session. So he called a special session on each 3 of those topics until they got something done about it. Okay, along with the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker of the House, the Governor can set the tone or the agenda for what type of legislation is dealt with during session. Okay, he'll meet with the Speaker of the House and the Attorney General, the 3 of them, and they'll talk about what they want to accomplish during the session. So the 3 of them get together and discuss this and decide. It's not just the governor that's telling everything that happens. He makes appointments to commissions and boards. The Lieutenant Governor, it's also a 4-year term. That's Dan Patrick, and he's new. He presides over the Senate. He appoints members to Senate committees. He can control what legislations come to the floor through political maneuvering. If he has a bill coming to his Senate and he may not like that bill, well, he can stall that bill, or he can push a bill forward, or he can appoint certain types of committee chairs to these committees where he knows like this happened over in the House. There was I can't remember what the name of the committee was, but it was the one that heard all the gun bills last session. Well, the guy that got put as the chairman of that committee is very much against gun bills, was very much against guns, but he was the committee chair. So they can do things like that to control how the legislation moves. He will work closely with the governor and the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is a 2-year term. It's Joe Strauss. He presides over the House. He's elected by House members. He appoints members to House committees. He controls what legislation comes to the floor through political maneuvering. And he works closely with the governor and lieutenant governor. And if Joe Strauss is elected again as the House Speaker, he will be the only elected official in that group of elected leaders that's going to be there from last time. So that's something I just thought about that last week. He's going to be the only one that's been there through the other sessions. Attorney General, 4-year term, Ken Paxton. He's attorney for the state of Texas. He oversees a staff of lawyers. He's responsible for filing suit when the federal government infringes on the state's rights, and I'm sure y'all heard Abbott already say after last night's little president's talk about immigration, they're going to file suit against the government, the federal government. Well, I'm sure that Ken Paxton will continue in Abbott's footsteps, filing lots of lawsuits, as long as we have this president. Comptroller, 4-year term, that's Glenn Hager. He oversees state spending in all agencies. He administers the budget, collects sales and use tax for the states, counties, and cities. Agriculture Commissioner, 4-year term is Sid Miller. He regulates fuel pumps, weights and measures, administers school lunch programs and ag programs. Land Commissioner, 4-year term, George Bush. He oversees state lands and revenue from those lands for the Permanent School Fund. The Permanent School Fund in the state of Texas, I think it owns about 20 million acres of land, and there's oil that sits on this land. Every bit of the oil that's produced on those 20 million acres goes into this Permanent School Fund, and it's the job of the Land Commissioner to make sure that that oil is producing like it should to generate money for this Permanent School Fund. Okay, this is the Land Commissioner that's over this. He oversees Veterans Affairs, he maintains historic land records and maps, and he acts as steward of the state's coastline. The Railroad Commission, 6 overlapping terms. They oversee every aspect of the oil and gas industry in the state. They have nothing to do with railroads, but they cannot change their name because the federal government, there's something that has to do with the federal government, and they can't change their name. Something about the regulations within the federal government, not surprising. Okay, we have 3 railroad commissioners. We have Christy Craddock as the chair, she's from Midland. David Porter and Ryan Sitton is the newly elected one, and he is from Houston. Secretary of the State's a 4-year term. The current Secretary of State is Nandita Berry. This position is appointed by the governor. They oversee all elections in the state. They handle all business filings, like if you want to start a new business, it goes through this office. And they also maintain the notary records. And since I've been involved in politics, this job it turns over a lot. There's been a lot of new Secretary of State. So it seems like they do not stay in this position very long. So I suspect when Abbott gets in there, there'll probably be another new Secretary of State. Supreme Court, Chief Justice and Associate Justices, 6-year term. Nathan Hecht is Chief Justice. Don Willett, Deborah Lehman, John Devine, who, if y'all have not met John Devine, he is a wonderful, wonderful person. Has a lot of integrity, and he's very principled. Paul Green, Jeff Brown, Jeffrey Boyd, he was Governor Perry's Chief of Staff. Phil Johnson, who is from Lubbock, and then Eva Guzman. The Senate, it's a 4-year term. And I have both of these up here because I've been doing this in different areas. Here we have Charles Perry, which y'all have 2 senators over here in Abilene. Charles Perry, which in District 28 is the northern part of Abilene and those counties. And then you have Troy Frazier, which is the largest part of Taylor County, in SD 24. There's 31 Senate districts, and each Senate district has approximately 806,000 population. There's 20 Republicans now and 11 Democrats in the Senate. They are presided over by the Lieutenant Governor, and they're in session every 2 years. Odd years, they will be in Austin, and even, they will be in their district. And SD 28 is the largest with 51 counties and has the landmass size, it's the same as 14 states in the United States. This is the Senate floor, and you can see on here, let me see if this little thing's gonna work. Yeah, you can see on here, right here, looks like there's a lot of commotion going on, but they are actually working to pass bills. This area here, if you were to go to Austin, you can sit here, it's called the gallery, and you can watch what your senator's doing. When they're in there working, there's a bunch of people just milling around, running around, jumping up and down, and they're talking to each other, and you're like, what in the world? Well, they're trying to get other people to see their viewpoint or talk to them about what's going on. So they're actually working. Sometimes it looks like a lot of confusion, but I guess they're getting their work done. Okay, the House, 2-year term. And here in this area out here, we have Susan King, which is y'all's representative. She was elected in 2006. Drew Darby, which he is in the San Angelo area, elected in 2006. And then our newest one is Dustin Burrows, he's HD 83, which is my House district. And he took Charles Perry's place, and he's brand new, was just elected. It's presided over by the Speaker of the House, and it's same in session every 2 years in Austin on Odd, and even in their district. There's 150 members in the House. There's 98 Republicans and 52 Democrats. We're 2 shy of the supermajority in the House. The Republicans are. Okay, and this is the House, and you'll notice it's a lot bigger. Okay. Also, lots of commotion. This lady right here is probably, she is reading a bill. When they have a bill they want to bring to the floor, they go up here and read it. And then down here at the very end, down here, there'll be another little podium. Well, it will be people that are debating or bringing up questions about the bill. This is where the speaker will reside, and lots of times Judge Strauss won't be there. He turns the gavel over to someone else during the day. He's not there all the time, so there's different people that will preside. Just like on when you watch C-SPAN, they got different people doing it. They do the same thing. This little thing right here is the board of where you can see how every single member votes. When they vote on a bill, you'll have red and green lights. Every name of every House member is written on here. And there'll be red and green lights, and as they're voting, it's really funny. You can hear it, it's dinging the whole time. And it's going off, you can hear it all over the Capitol, dinging. And it's sort of old. And last session we were like, why can't they get something, we're so technologically advanced. This thing's sort of old, and it's funny because sometimes the little lights won't go off, and you can see them down there really hitting on the button, but they eventually get it to come on. But it's a really interesting thing to watch them do all this. The legislative session happens every 2 years on odd numbers years, and it's coming up in January. The regular 84th session will commence on January the 13th and end on June the 1st. Special sessions can be called after the regular ends for as long as the governor chooses to do so. If they don't get something passed in there, because this is what the control the governor has. He wants certain things done in that session, and they don't do it, he can keep calling those special sessions for as long as he wants to. Now, he probably wouldn't do that because it costs a lot of money to keep them down there for the special session. So that would probably not look good on his part to keep doing that. But he does have that power, and Perry did, like I said, he exercised it last time. The Speaker of the House is elected on the very first day. Last session, there were 6,061 bills filed. Out of these, 3,713 made it to committee, and 1,447 became law. 51% of bills passed last time were authored or co-authored by Democrats. Now, we're a Republican-controlled legislature down there. Why is that happening? It's just a question for y'all. You don't even have to answer it, just something to think about. Okay, how ideas become law. This website right here. Everybody, if you want to know what's going on in Austin, you need to know this website right here. And we're going to go over that website in just a second and how it works. Okay. Have you ever wondered, I'm sure, how do you get a bill down there or whatever, and who can do it? Okay, a legislator, a constituent, a special interest group, a staff member, or any other interested party will have an idea, and any of those people can draft legal language to do a bill. It does not have to be your elected official. Last session I worked with about five to seven people all over the state, and we drafted a bill that would help the state of Texas stand between us and the federal government in regards to Obamacare. And it was just people that wrote this bill. Well, we went down, we talked to a bunch of the House reps. Well, Charles Perry authored it for us. Now, if you're just a person and you're not elected, and you have a bill, you do have to find a legislator that says, okay, I'll be the author, I'll carry that bill for you. But the point I want to get across is anybody can get a bill together. So if you have an idea and you see something that needs to be done, get a bill together and go talk to your elected official and say, hey, we need to do this. Here, I've done the work for you. Please author this. Okay, with the help of the Texas Legislative Council, these ideas are put into bill form and followed by the filing deadline. Okay, they call this Texas Legislative Council right here. It's called the Texas Leg Council. It's a nonpartisan legislative agency that provides bill drafting, computing, research, publishing, and document distributing services to the Texas legislature and other legislative agencies. It's nonpartisan. And this group, Texas Leg Council, is also the ones that are responsible for operating this website. Somebody had that question the other night where I gave this and I didn't know. Well, I found out. Texas Ledge Council also operates the website where you can find all the information out about what's going on down there. Now, if you're a person or you're with a group of people that come up with a bill and your person, your elected official, is the author, but okay, if you came up with that bill, you're the one that's going to know about the bill. Your representative or your senator may not know all the ins and outs of that bill. Well, and he can give permission for a person from your group or for that person to be the one that talks to the Texas Ledge Council when they're asking questions. And what the Texas Ledge Council does is they get this wording in there, and they do a lot of research. They go over the bills, they make sure that they're not in conflict with any other law that's out there. They make sure that all the language in the bill is correct within legalese, I guess you could call it. So they do all the hard stuff to make sure that bill isn't a joke, I guess you could say, you know, that it's proper form and that it's researched and everything. So they're very, very important. Okay, now if you go to that website, this is what comes up. You'll see it says Texas Legislature Online right there. And right here, search legislation. Right here you go in and you put in this, everything I have in here is from last session, okay, because I wanted to show y'all some different bills that actually went through. So I'm not working on this session yet. This is all from last session, just to give y'all an idea. So it was the 83rd regular session of 2013. You would go in here, you can look it up by a word phrase or you can look it up by a bill number. If you want to find last session every bill that was filed about water, you could go click on Word and you put water and put go. It will bring every bill that was filed about water. And you can go and find out what all they tried to do with the water in Texas. When you get into the session, usually you're looking it up by bill number. Like if you have HB 2013, that's House bill. If you have SB 197, that's Senate bill. So they're going to be named SB or HB. And that's how you can look it up. Then you have right over here, you have, now this is a Texas House, you see that, and right here is Texas Senate. And under each of these, House members, Senate members. You can go in, if you click House members on right there, this is what will come up. Every single House member is on here. And this went further down, but I couldn't get it all on there. So I went on here and I found Charles Perry, because I worked really close with him last session. And he was my rep last session. So I clicked him on. And this is what will come up. It tells all his contact information. It tells the committees that he was on. He was on 2 different appropriations committees, the Government Efficiency and Reform Committee and the Transparency and State Agency Select Committee. He also served on 2 conference committees. So you know everything he does. The next part of this will go, this is on down the page, right here, the 83rd regular, the bills that he authored. Let's say you're here and Susan King is your rep. You can go in there to Susan King and you can look right there and it says bill authored. You can click that on, it's going to bring every bill that Susan King authors up for you to look at. Okay, so when you click on this one on Charles Perry, this is what it looks like next. Okay, first bill that he filed last time was HB 97. The author. Now you can have more than one author on a bill. Here he worked, it was Perry. When you have the first person, that's the person that actually drafts the bill. Okay? But the others can sign on as authors. We had White, Flynn, Farias, and Rick Miller. They all agreed heavily with this bill, so they wanted to be authors also. And when you have a bill in the House, you also need somebody in the Senate, which would be the sponsor. And Letitia Vanderpoot was the sponsor. Now, y'all may know that name. She just ran against David Dewhurst. She is a Democrat. Now, when you get down there, yes, we have Republicans and Democrats, but they have to work together to get these bills passed because the Republicans, although we have a majority, it's really hard to get all the Republicans voting the same way in the House. And then in the Senate, sometimes you also need Democrats, so you have to work with them sometimes. This bill was relating to the exemption from ad valorem taxes for, I think, a disabled vet. And this bill did get passed. Okay, when you click on right here, the bill number, see that's HB 97, you click that on, then it goes to the page, it will tell you every single thing about this bill. You can look up here the history of the bill, which is this page. Tells the last action that happened, which it took effective on 5/27/2013. Enrolled, meaning it was passed by both houses. Tells what it is and all this. Subjects that it covers. The committee it was assigned to, ways and means. This is important. If you go into a bill, let's say you want to come up with a bill, you like peanut butter cookies, and you want your legislator to get a bill passed that on Tuesdays, every business in Abilene has to serve peanut butter cookies, okay? And you go get your rep to author this bill. Well, what committee is that bill going to go to, okay? So you would get a bill number, and you go to the page where the bill is, and right here you're going to find out where it goes. When you click that on, Ways and Means, it shows every single person that's on that committee. A bill has to make it through committee before it can go anywhere else, so you want to influence those committee members. Okay, on this is further down the page on the top of that. Here is everything that happened to that bill, and it starts way down here and works its way up. If you have an S right here, you can see that it was in the Senate, and we saw right here that the Senate offered an amendment where these little yellow things are. That's when they took a vote on that bill. If you click on that, you can see how your legislator voted on that bill at those times. So this is just something, information for y'all to keep up. Another way you can keep up, now you don't have to go to Austin to see all this. You can watch it from the comfort of your own home, live. Every single day this is on the internet. Right over here, video broadcast, the House and the Senate. We click on the House, it's going to bring this up, and this was what was happening Thursday, November the 6th. We had the Texas Commission on Jail Standards was meeting at 11 o'clock. It told the room, and then they also had 2014 Family Land Heritage. They had something down there for them. It was at 1:30. Then there was a press conference going on. So that video, the video thing is very, it not only talks about what the legislation is, it talks about everything going on in the Capitol. And you can watch it from your computer, right live. It's not recorded, it's live. And there's also archived video. They keep it all, it's in here. And I looked the other day, this website goes back all the way to the 71st session is when it started. And we're about to be on the 84th. So this has been going on for a while, okay? Now, we're still on this how ideas become law. Pre-filing of bills started November the 10th, which was last Monday. So even though the session hasn't started, they're already filing bills. The filing deadline for all bills to be filed is the 60th day of the session, or March 13th. Once the bill is filed, it's sent to the appropriate committee where it waits to be heard. Committees are made up of members with chairs appointed by the Speaker or the Lieutenant Governor. The size of committees is adopted by members during the beginning days of session when the rules are adopted. You can have a committee that has 9 people on it, or you may have a committee that has 20 people on it. Now, I know some of the appropriations committees are really large. I don't know what the largest committee is, but they're all different sizes, and that's decided by the chamber. Once a bill is placed on the calendar of a committee, it is then debated by members. Now, sometimes you might have a bill, like your peanut butter cookie bill. They may not can get that into committee, so it just sits over there and doesn't really go to committee. That bill can be, another bill can be found that has the same subject of that bill, and they can attach it to it. Now, that's where Texas is different than the federal government. I know y'all know in the federal government they'll attach all kinds of bills to like the budget bill and all that. Well, in Texas we have a rule that if you're going to attach it to a bill, it has to at least be the same subject. So there is no attaching all these bills to the appropriation or the budget bill. It has to at least have the same subject. But it does not have to come up in committee to get attached. So if you have a bill laying over here and nothing happens to it, and you know it's there, you can contact your legislator and say, hey, I know that bill didn't go to committee, but could you please go attach it to something and try to get it passed? And they can do that. Okay, here is a committee. This is where the people that are on the committee sit up here. Here's the chair. This right here is people that are testifying on the bill that's coming before the committee, and this is just the audience sitting out here. Now, last session, I did not testify at all. I I am not going to get up there and testify because I've seen the way that some of these people get talked to, and I would probably start crying. I guess I'm not going to do it. But these people that sit out here are very, very important also, because there's lots of things. I would sit in these committees and watch and listen and see what was said. I have heard some of these committee members say when testimony was taken, you know what, we've never heard that side of the story, because the only people before last session that were there en masse were the lobbyists. And that's who all the committee members were listening to. Well, when the citizens started coming down there, you would have the lobbyists get up and testify, and then a citizen would get up, and usually they're on the opposite side of the lobbyist. Well, it gave a whole new perspective to these committee members right here, and that's very important. Like I said, the activists were missing before last session. We need to be down there, because when you make a decision, you're listening to people, and whoever's influencing you the most is going to carry a lot of weight on your decision. So I would sit out here, I would listen to them. I even heard one guy on committee, I don't remember what the bill was, but he was like, you know what, I would like somebody to come to my office and tell me more about this. I have a lot of questions. So the next day, I went to his office and I talked to him about that. You know, there's all kinds of things that go on. You don't have to be the one up there speaking. Okay, in the halls where the committee rooms are, they have these things, witness registration kiosk. This one was for the Senate registration, and then they have one for the House. Outside in the halls, there are these. You can go, and it'll give you a list of all the bills that are coming up. You go in there and you register yes or no on these bills, whether you testify or not. And at the end of the testimony, they read all the yes and no's into the public record. So if I go in there and I'm Teresa Beckmeyer, and I'm going to vote yes, I want peanut butter cookies in Abilene every Tuesday, and I put a yes, when they get through doing the testimony on that bill, at the end they say, Teresa Beckmeyer, yes. John Doe, no. I mean, they read your name into there. And what the purpose of that is if this bill makes it to the floor, the legislators, before they vote on it on the floor, they look to see how many people showed up in favor of and against these bills. So that way it influences their decision. So it's very important if you go down there to go to both the Senate and the House kiosk and register your yes or no vote on these bills. Okay, the committee can pass the bill out of committee or vote to leave it in committee. Once it's out of committee, the bill goes to the calendars committee in the House and the intent calendar in the Senate. The calendars committee is a special committee that decides which bills go to the floor of the House to be voted on. In the Senate, the author of the bill has to get 21 signatures in support of the bill to get it off the intent calendar. Okay, in the House, it's like you have all these bills, 3,000 and something, going, it's like this big funnel, and it's coming down here to the calendars committee. In the calendars committee, you can't go in and watch the calendars committee. They meet behind closed doors. I think there was 12. I'm not sure on that, but there's a few of them. They go through every bill that gets past committee, and they decide which bills are going to go to the floor. Okay, and that committee is made up of both Democrats and Republicans. In the Senate, it's the total responsibility of the author of the bill to get his bill to the Senate floor. Okay. Bills that pass through the calendars committee in the House will then be added to the House floor calendar and will come up for debate and a vote by the entire floor. If the Senate author gets the votes needed, that bill goes to the Senate floor for debate. If a bill is passed in the House, it then goes to the Senate. If it's passed in the Senate, it goes to the House. So they have to go on both sides. They have to make it up all the way from being introduced, make it through committee, and all the way to both floors of each chamber passed before it can go to the governor. So, and this can be going on at the same time, or it can go through one and then go to the other and go through. Okay? But it has to go through both of them. Bills must pass both chambers to be sent to the governor. Now, resolutions only have to pass one chamber. I don't know if y'all know what resolutions are, but there's three kinds. You have something, you'll have HJR, which is stands for Joint Resolution, or SJR. Those are resolutions that are both the House and the Senate are signed on to them, and they want to do a constitutional amendment to our state constitution. Then you'll have a House resolution or a Senate resolution. That means that it only pertains to that chamber. Like the House resolutions may have to do with the House rules. Or today, Grandpa Jones in Taylor County is 150 years old and we want to recognize him. Okay, that's if it says HR or SR. And then you have something called concurrent resolutions. That's where both chambers get together and they want to tell Congress something. Hey, we're down here in Texas and we want you to do something about this. And those don't happen very often. When a bill passes both chambers, but the versions are different, a conference committee convenes in which the two sides get together to try to work out the problems which will help the bill to pass both chambers. The controlling chamber is the one in which the bill originates. So if you've got a bill, started over in the House, goes through, gets passed, goes to the Senate. The Senate starts adding amendments onto this bill. Well, the House is the controlling, and they may not like those amendments. So when it goes through the Senate and passes, these two groups get together. There's 5 members from the House, 5 members from the Senate. They're appointed by the Speaker and by the Lieutenant Governor, and usually the members of the chambers will ask to be on this conference committee. They get together and they work out the differences, and the final say or the final go on the bill is left up to the chamber where the bill started. Okay, so if it was a Senate bill, the Senate has the final say. If it's a House bill, the House has the final say. Once the final draft of the bill passes both chambers, it's sent to the governor. The governor can then veto the bill or sign it into law. The last day for him to sign or veto bills is June the 21st, 2015. When a bill goes and gets to his desk, he has 10 days to veto that or sign it. Now, if he does not sign a bill, it automatically passes. If he does not sign or veto, it's automatic. And I asked somebody, why would he do that? Why would he sign some and not sign others? And they said usually if he doesn't sign them, it's a way for him to show his disapproval without vetoing it. So that's why that happens. But the final day for him to sign or veto will be June the 21st for the ones that came out at the end. After the session ends, he has the ability to call special sessions if items have not been addressed by the legislature, and these special sessions are 30 days in length. Okay, what can I do and why is it important? Volunteers are needed at every level. Like I said, last session, a bunch of citizens started going down and we're going back. And these are some things we found that if people could go down and help out with, it would be great and would help us a lot. We need citizen communicators. We need you to forward emails to everyone in your address book. And I've got this list. If you're not on my email list and you want to get on, I would love for you to sign up if y'all want to pass that around. Forward emails to everyone in your address book. Contact legislators by phone and email about bills. Get the word out on social media and write letters to the editor. Now what we did last time and what we're going to do again, the calendar for the week comes out between 9 and 10 o'clock on Sunday night. And what we did, we have a group of people that we went through every single bill last session, and we're going to have another group this time that's doing the same thing. Every Sunday night, I will be sending out an email to everybody on my list of every single bill that's coming through that week. We don't tell you vote for this or don't vote for this. We just tell you this is the bill, this is what it will do. So we need you to be watching these bills and forwarding them to people, because the way that we're going to fix all of this is to be educated and informed about what's going on. Okay? Because there's some bills down there, the media, you hear about the big bills, like you'll hear about the transportation, or you'll hear about water, you hear about the big money bills, but there are so many little bills that are going around that affect your civil rights that, I mean, you can't even imagine. And I mean, these don't affect your civil rights, but I can tell you right now there's been a bill filed that wants to do away with daylight savings time. That's not going to get a lot of press, but it's there, and I would love for that to go through. Then there's another bill, and I thought this one's interesting. It is a bill to make it to where little kids, K through 5, if they make a gun out of a piece of bread or something like that at school, that they will not get in trouble. Okay, that's another bill that's been filed. You will never hear about those bills. Well, if you get on the list and you're going to hear about these because we've put all this out. Okay, the bill research, we need people that will help read through bills and help others to become aware of what the legislature is trying to get passed into law. We need people who, if you're at home and you're going to watch these videos, we need to know when, like if Joe Black gets up and he starts speaking at 1 minute, we need people logging when different peoples are giving testimony. Because over the last 2 years, we've needed to go back to some of these committee hearings and listen to some of the testimony and the answers that were given in response. And so without the logging, you're just having to look through lots and lots and lots of videos. So we need people that can start logging for us if you're at home. We need vote counters. You may not want to go sit in committee hearings all day, but you want to do something. So if you go to Austin, we need people that can go around to the different committee members' offices and find out if they're for or against bills or amendments. That way it helps those of us that testify, or those of us that actually that can talk to the legislators or may know someone that can. Then we know which ones to go to, which ones don't bother with them, they're set. We need people to find them. It's just getting information, that's all it is. We need citizen activists. We need people to travel to Austin. We need people that can testify in committee hearings, talk to legislators and special interest groups, network to build up coalitions that work together and are going in the same direction. We need people that can fund people like citizen activists that go down there. The problem is when you're a citizen activist, every bit of this has to come out of your pocket because you're not a PAC, you're not involved with a big group. So you pay for all of it yourself. We need people that are just down there supporting others. And I've told this story. When you're sitting in committee, they're going to give you a calendar of the bills that are coming up, and they're in order. But that doesn't mean they're going to come up in that order. They can start on that calendar and they can say, okay, SB 105, this legislator is not here right now. We're going to have to move this to the bottom. Well, that may be the bill that you need to talk about or you want to find out about. So you can end up getting in a room at 10 o'clock in the morning. There was one in particular I got in. I started at 10. I ended up staying in there till 2 in the morning without leaving my chair. Because if you leave, you're not there to see what happens. You know, you're not there. So we need people down there just walking around, going to the different committee rooms, talking to just regular citizens going, do you need anything to drink? Do you need something to eat? You know, we also need people that are in the different committee rooms, because you may have a business person that may have some expertise over here on this bill, and they want to testify. But they also might have some expertise over here in the education committee, and they want to go testify over there. You need people in these different committees saying, texting that person going, you need to run over here right quick because the testimony's coming up right now, so they can run to that other meeting, testify, and then come back to their meeting. We noticed the last time, that's what the lobbyists do. They'll have one person that testifies a bunch, they bring big groups of people, they all go to the different committee rooms, and they text each other, telling each other when the different bills are coming up so that the people testifying can go to the different rooms and testify. We need that too. Okay, at no other time has it been more important to be involved in what is happening in our state government. And I want to talk about why. I know everybody is concerned with the federal government because of, okay, what happened last night. But how can we stop the federal government? Our founding fathers set up our system in such a way, you've heard all politics is local, needs to start down at the local and state level. That's where we can have the most influence. And a good example of this is, y'all know when the Bureau of Land Management was doing the thing with Bundy out there, and then all of a sudden our attention got turned to our northern border, the Red River, and you saw all of our representatives go up there and stand on the Red River with those citizens where they were trying to take their property. Did y'all see that? Are y'all familiar with that? That happened because we have citizens that are aware of what's going on, that have relationships with those reps. They contacted those reps and they told them this is going on. The reps were good reps. They wanted to stand up for the citizens, and they went up there and took care of it. Okay? That's why state politics is so important, especially in this day and age. Who is going to protect us from the overreach of the federal government? It's going to be our state legislators. That's why it's so important. We need to be doing and not just discussing. There are many things that need to be done. All jobs are important and all are needed. Each job helps another and builds a forward momentum that's hard to stop. It's like the snowball effect. Like last time we started down there with a few people, by the end of session, the word was spreading that we were down there working. We started having more and more people. Well, over the last 2 years, we've all been networking, and there's a lot of things that are starting to develop because of all this. It just keeps going once you get involved. Okay, where are we? When we were down there last session, we had about 20 really conservative House reps, okay? Now, I don't know as much about the Senate side because it's easier to keep up with over on the House what's going on. Their rules are a lot more concrete and laid out. The Senate works, their rules are sort of vague and stuff, so I know this, I'm speaking from the House side. We had about 20 really, really good conservative reps. This time we're going to have close to 40. So through people paying attention and through the primary process this last time, we were able to get 20 more people down there that are going to be really good, okay? Where are we going? We're going towards trying to change out our whole legislature with really good people that can stand between the federal government. Can I make a difference? Yes, you can. It is our responsibility. This little quote right here, when you go out of the east door of the Capitol building and walk towards the Capitol visitor parking, right in front of you is the State Library and State Archives. And on the outside of that building, there's quotes engraved on that building. I would read this every single day when I left the Capitol building. It says, and this is the very first of the state constitution of 1845. Our state constitution, this is what it says. All political power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on the people's authority, and instituted for their benefit. We need to take that serious right there. We're the ones that put these people in, and we are the ones that need to be paying attention to what they are doing so that we can make sure that our state is being governed in the way it should. Okay? And that's all I have. And if y'all have any questions, I can take questions right now.